Like if a parent threatens to shut down your club and goes to the school about it and it actually goes through, that would be them infringing on your rights. So infringement means breaking the terms of a law or an agreement, which we're going to talk about. First, we're going to start by talking about what the U.S. Constitution has to say about infringing on a person's rights. So, 1 minute, I gotta take a sip of water. The U.S. Constitution does not have a single clause stating that you can infringe on somebody's rights, but it has several amendments. You have the Bill of Rights, outlaw those rights, and the 14th Amendment ensures these rights apply to all states. For example, the First Amendment prevents the government from restricting freedoms like speech or religion, and the 5th and 14th Amendments establish due to progress and equal protection under the law, which prevents the government from infringing on life, liberty, or property without due progress. And that's the part of infringing on rights in the US. Now in Canada, it's a completely different story because they have a whole section that allows them to infringe on your rights, which is horrible. And they don't really put a line of where you can and can't infringe on somebody's rights. So in Section 1 of the Charter, the Reasonable Limits Clause does not infringe on rights, but provides the legal framework of justifying limits on them. When a law is found to be infringed, a charter right, the government can try to justify the infringement under Section 1 by providing it is a reasonable limit that can be justified in a free and democratic society. This justification is determined through a two-part analysis, often called the Oakes test, which we'll talk about a bit today, and other laws they have. Now we're going to look at the Oakes test here, if I can click on the link. So here's the Oakes test. In the Oakes test, first they look at, is the infringement punishable by law? If they say yes, then you go down to the next one. Is the purpose of the law pursuing and subjectile? Is the law relationally connected to its purpose? If yes, you continue going down. Does the law minimally impair the infringed right? If yes, you continue going down. And do the positive effects of the law outweigh the negative effects of infringement? So all of these have to be yes. If one is no, then they cannot infringe on somebody's rights. So you have to have all of these as yes in the Oakes test. So that is the Oakes test. Okay, one here. All right. Rights are not absolute. The Charter recognizes that rights and freedoms can have reasonable limits in the Charter, which is completely different from the Constitution in the US. Justification is required. If a law or action infringes a charter right, the government has the opportunity to prove the infringement is justified. Then the Oakes test, which we just looked at, the government must meet the requirements of the Oakes test to justify the limit, and then they must have a burden of proof, which means the government bears the burden of proving that the infringement is justified. So to infringe on somebody's rights in Canada, you have to prove how it is a just reason. Like you can't just say, oh, I want to infringe on that person's rights. You have to give a good reason to infringing on their rights. All right, and then for more information, who you can contact,